online so that anyone from the public is able to observe if they would like. Last thing I need to do is read through the hearing script. This basically just covers the procedure for the hearing, then we'll jump right into it. So this is the August 31st, 2022 session of the zoning hearing examiner docket. My name is David Sturkey. I'm the zoning hearing examiner for the city of Cincinnati. I'll preside over the hearing. The case before us today is case number ZH20220124. The purpose of the hearing is to allow applicants and any possible opposing parties to testify and to offer and refute evidence and testimony. This hearing will follow the rules found in the zoning code and the supplemental rules of the zoning hearing examiner. All testimony and evidence that an applicant or any opposing party wishes to offer must be presented at this hearing. The hearing will proceed as follows. The applicant's attorney, or the applicant's agent will first present the applicant's case. If there were anyone here from the public, they'd have an opportunity to speak after the applicant and owner have told me about the case. I'll give Trey Sheldon an opportunity to provide any testimony in addition to his staff report. In the event that any party testifies or offers argument in opposition to this application, the applicant will have an opportunity to rebut that testimony. And then finally, the applicant will have an opportunity to make any closing statements. So for our purposes here today, I'm just going to give the owner and Mr. Sennhauser an opportunity to tell me about the project, any background, why they think it's appropriate, why I should grant this relief. You all can orient that presentation however you would like. One or all three of you can tell me about it. I'm pretty open on how you all want to orient the presentation. I'll then go to Trey, give Trey an opportunity to tell me anything, provide any testimony. I'll have some questions along the way. You guys can make any closing remarks and then we'll wrap it up. After all presentations have been made, I'll close the hearing. Decisions may be expected within 2 weeks. I may limit or exclude any testimony that I deem irrelevant or outside the scope of the application being considered. I may interrupt any speaker to ask questions or to make any comments. I may also refuse to consider hearsay testimony. That's generally evidence you want to introduce that consists of statements made by someone who's not present at the hearing here today. In the event of any technical difficulties with the Zoom technology, I'll do my best to troubleshoot those on the fly, but to the extent there's some defect with the tech that prevents us from meaningfully going forward with this hearing, I may continue or postpone the hearing at my discretion. Okay. Final thing I need to do here, guys, is to swear in all of our witnesses. So if you intend on providing any testimony here today, making any comments, asking any questions, really doing anything other than just strictly observing here today, then you need to be sworn before I can take your testimony. So if that's you, if you could raise your right hand, I need everyone to answer out loud. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you shall give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, great. Thanks, everyone. All right, who's going to be taking the lead here on the presentation?
I'd prefer to let John take the lead.
Sure. Mr. Sennhauser.
Yes, the project before you is for the construction of a new two-car garage to the rear of the property. The reason it is before you is that the lot itself fronts on 3 different public rights of way. So instead of a side yard, I'm told that the through lot takes precedent over the front yard, side yard requirements. And as a result, we would be required to provide 2 front yards, 1 front yard as it currently exists, and 1 for the garage in the rearmost front yard. If you look at the CAGIS information that I previously submitted, you will see that on the street to the rear, the property owners there, the majority of them actually have garages that front on this public right-of-way with relatively small setbacks. We are proposing a setback of 5 feet. Many of the others are even less than that, 3 feet, 2 feet. If you look at the photographs and the CAGIS map that we've submitted. So we feel we have, or we are entitled to the same rights as the other people that are on this street in terms of the development right. And Previously, this property had a one-car garage, the remnants of which are still evident there from a foundation wall and a slight retaining wall. That currently has been replaced by a gravel parking pad, and so the position of the garage was to remove what remains of that previous garage and position it right where that parking pad is. If you look at the photographs, visually the setback of the garage will be right where a portion of the fence line is, almost directly replacing it.
Okay. So where that existing gravel pad is, that's where the new garage is gonna go in.
Correct.
Okay.
And that's where as I said, that's where the old, you can see the remnant of the old garage there in the photographs.
Yeah. Is the footprint going to be approximately the same as the gravel pad currently, that current footprint there?
The new footprint will be approximately 22 feet square. So that's actually somewhat smaller than the gravel pad, but basically a two-car space.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Mr. Luckett, anything you want to add?
No, I think John summarized it all.
Okay. Trey?
If I
Oh,
may,
I'm sorry. Mr. Siegel, do you want to add anything?
yeah. I've been in redevelopment of older property since 1960. And it's always been my desire to do something that is architecturally pleasing to not only us, but the people around us. This is why I hired John to design a garage that would fit in to the texture and the design of the 100-plus-year-old farmhouse that's on the property. And a farmhouse that was in terrible condition until it was bought by my daughter and son-in-law and completely restored to its original. So I'd like that to be considered something that fits in with the house, and because of the lineup of garages on the front of that street as it goes down, it's compatible with the established lineup of those garages all the way down the street.
Okay. Thanks, Mr. Siegel. Trey, did you want to add anything?
Just to provide a little bit more back up to what essentially what Mr. Sennhauser stated. This house was constructed, it appears around 1900, so it's a 120-year-old structure, and I can tell that using sequential aerial photographs that sometime between 1996 and 2001, that existing garage to which Mr. Sennhauser referred was demolished. You can see in my staff report, I provided a Google Street View image that shows not only the gravel area, but also the fact that part of the south and even some of the east part of the foundation of that garage was just sort of left in place, kind of crumbling there, as well as the broken parking pad of the garage. And then somebody at some point just sort of spread gravel there, a previous owner prior to the Lucketts. ownership, just spread gravel there. And obviously those are existing, not ideal or aesthetically pleasing or compatible with the neighborhood, nor compliant with zoning conditions. So you aren't, not sure quite how it happened, but you're not allowed to demolish something and then leave part of the structure. That's an alteration and not a demolition. And also, obviously, gravel's not an accepted parking area anywhere, whether it's in a front yard or not. So I did speak with several neighbors about this. A couple of neighbors that were actually seemed pleased that this current condition where there's no place to even store garbage cans or anything, or gardening materials or anything, that will be alleviated. Again, speaking to some of what Mr. Sennhauser spoke to, it's clearly I mean, there are often times where we bring up an example of, several neighboring properties having a condition, but in this instance, it's far and away the predominant. I mean, there are only a couple of properties along that entire block face that don't have a detached garage, and probably they did at some point, and it was demolished. But it's before aerial photographs that we can, could visually see. So, maybe in the 80s or something, or 70s, prior to visual images that we have access to, those were probably demolished. So, lastly, I'd like to point out that Mr. Sennhauser is a very experienced architect, is designing this structure to be as reasonably possible match the historic nature of the home that's the existing 120 some year old home. So it should be aesthetically pleasing. So it was a very easy get to find that this is compatible with the neighborhood, and if anything, it will probably alleviate any adverse effects, namely the gravel and broken pavement and broken walls and garbage cans out. Just no place to store refuse or gardening materials. So I think I can certainly say if I was a neighbor, I'd be happy with the result, and that the two people that I talked to were pleased. So that's it, unless you have any further questions.
I don't think that I do. Thanks, Trey. Thanks for the testimony and for your staff report. Anything else from Mr. Sennhauser or Mr. Siegel or Luckett before we adjourn?
I
don't have anything. No.
Sure. Let's leave it at that.
The background was just discussed is very important, and thank you for that.
Yeah.
Sure.
You're welcome.
So, yeah, I think we can leave it at that. I've had a chance to review the application materials, the staff report. I actually used to live on Holly Lane over there, so I'm familiar with the area. I agree with all the testimony here today, and I think this is compatible with the neighborhood. It's a well-designed project, and I'm going to approve the application. I need to formalize that decision in a written decision. And so I will begin work on that this week and have it out to you as soon as possible. As soon as I finish that, I put it into a PDF and I email it to everybody who's in the hearing here today. So you all will have a copy of that really just moments after it's complete. And then as soon as you have that PDF, you can work with Trey on getting the permitting approved and start on the project. Any questions about any of that?
No, thank you very much.
Sure. Okay. Thank you all. If you do have any questions in the meantime, feel free to reach out to myself or Trey. If you'd like a status update on the decision, just to see where I'm at with it, I'm happy to answer those questions as well. You can email me directly, and I'm happy to give you guys an update. Otherwise, you'll be hearing from me shortly via email with that decision attached. Again, good luck on the project. Thanks again for your testimony here today.